Just in case you haven't heard, I'm pleased to announce today, as I have announced previously, but I wanted to say it in New Orleans, in Louisiana, that Tom Benson will be the new owner of the New Orleans Hornets. I would say that Tom and Gail Benson are the ideal owners for the New Orleans Hornets. Each of them was born in this city, and together they have spent so much of their time, effort, and material resources to assure that it came back from Katrina and that will continue to be a place where people will want to raise their kids. They're committed to, to the area downtown here. They're committed to making this a year-round entertainment center for families. And all I can say is that if we were looking for the perfect owner, given what Tom has done in New Orleans and given his success with the Saints, we couldn't have done better. We would have had to invent him if he didn't exist. Okay. I especially, there are many other thank yous to the governor, who has been an ally throughout this effort, who has, he has said to us that we can get the deal done. I'll introduce legislation in the legislature that will make this and guarantee this is a viable franchise in a state-of-the-art building. The governor has made good on that pledge, and as soon as the legislature joins with him in passing the budget, then we'll be able to close this deal. But I've been assured by multiple parties that won't be a problem. And when we do extend the deal, that will guarantee that the Hornets are here until 2024. I want to thank the Mayor Landrieu. Mitch has been, he would come up and say, "What do I have to do? You want me to bring some cooking up and feed your owners?" And he's been a spectacular spokesperson for this city, whether it's on 60 Minutes or anyone else who would listen. He talks about the investment that's being made, and he emphasized to us the importance that this team is to the city, and he actually helped to sell a few tickets as well. So that's pretty good. Thank you, Mitch. I do want to thank, from the bottom of my heart, Hugh Weber, who has been here overseeing and running this place and motivating a staff that cares greatly about this team and the city. And together, they, with our sponsors and our season ticket holders and our fans, have put together the kind of enthusiasm that was necessary for us to get to this point. We found for the NBA's governor representing the team at the Board of Governors, and somebody who I think was perfect for the sales process, Jack Sperling. Talk about central casting, born and bred in New Orleans, and with deep contacts in the community, and he did a terrific job. I never was really sure whose side he was on, but that's okay. Okay, all's well that ends well. There's one other thing that the governor extracted from me in the course of the discussions, but I'm going to wait for the second part of my announcement to talk about that. So to sum it up, we're absolutely thrilled with the ownership transfer that we contemplate. It has to be legislated, Governor. It has to be approved by the Board of Governors, but we're certain there won't be any issues, and we look forward to greeting the most important owner in the history of the New Orleans Hornets. Thank you very much. Okay, Tom, with that introduction, would you like to say something?
I would. He's one good salesman, I'm going to tell y'all. You know, I thought that the price was not a little high, real high. And that, so I backed off on him, and then somebody from California got an interest, and I was, even though they were going to try to make sure they didn't leave here, that I didn't like the idea of somebody California, you know. Where's your interest? An old Cajun boy like me, lived here all my life, you know, that spent a little time in Texas, but that's okay. Made enough money to come back here and own the Saints, and now we own in this club. So with my wife, who, by the way, urged me to do this too. We really looking forward, and you got to know, as I told our employees, excuse me, that my goal is going to be to bring a championship here. Nothing is going to satisfy me, this city, until we bring the championship here, just like we did with the New Orleans Saints. Boy, this is going to be great. You know, think about it. Have two teams with championships like that. You know, there's a lot of cities that have teams that never have won a championship for a long, long time. And here we are, we're going to have two. We're going to get this one there too, I tell you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Benson. Commissioner, now for our very exciting second announcement.
Before I get to the exciting announcement, I just want to mention the fact to Tom, in case he didn't pick up on it, that there are 29 other NBA owners committed to not allowing him to reach that dream. and that's what makes our sport so interesting. So I'm looking forward to seeing the competition. Well, when I spoke to the governor at first, and in some conversations with the mayor, but particularly the governor on this one, he said, we want an all-star game again in New Orleans. And it is my great pleasure to announce that New Orleans is slated to host the NBA All-Star Game in 2014. You know, it's subject to finishing up some negotiations with hotels and the arena, but I figured with the mayor on one side and the governor on the other, augmented by Tom Benson, this is going to happen and no one's going to give us a trouble. But I wanted to make the announcement now because as a reward to the good citizens of this city and the sponsors and the ticket holders, we couldn't be happy to come back and hopefully reprise one of our most successful All-Star games in 2008. I remember when we announced it, everyone said we were crazy, but it turned out not to be crazy, and this city has shown through Final Fours and Super Bowls that you have to be crazy not to use this as a host city. So we're going to, it's going to be February 14th. Look at me, Friday night. You know we've got the Rising Stars Challenge. On Saturday, we have All-Star Saturday night. On Sunday, we have the All-Star Game, which is like the main dish for dessert. We're going to have a jam session at the convention center. We're going to be having NBA Cares throughout the week. We're going to have our guests welcome to participate in community building events, which was such a wonderful success the last time. And for that period of time, again, New Orleans will be the basketball capital of the world. And it's really very exciting for us and should be for New Orleans. You know, before I turn it back over to Tom and then to the governor and then to the mayor, I've got about a minute worth of video to show you what Orlando's game looked like. So cut to the tape.
Now let's make a deal. I promise you gon' like how it feels. Give it to him like. Watch how we flip this remix and show the world that it's number one. I love the fact that they don't believe me, but I'ma show them that I'm hotter than the sun. Baby, green light, you already know. Tell your girl, yeah, that we ready to. Before I couldn't get one to the crib. Now let's make a deal. I promise she gon' like how it feels. Style. Give it to him like.
Tom, it's your turn to say something else again.
Yeah.
Like sort of like you're happy it's happening, or it's because of you buying the team, or something like that.
Well, you know, this is certainly exciting for Gail and I, and we're certainly very happy about this. We got a great commissioner, and boy, he's really tough to do business with. I tell you, he's very hard, man. Woo! Wow. We finally closed this deal. I think it was Friday evening. Not evening. It was about 1 o'clock in the morning, and that he was still going strong, and I was worn out. That's how we. But we. What an exciting time! I tell you, Gail and I couldn't be more pleased with the association. I've been knowing the commissioner a long time, but I got to know him better, and that. We're going to have a great association, and I'm just looking forward, as I said, to bring a championship team here. That's what we want, huh? All right.
When we finished the deal, and I told him it would be an all-star game in 2014, he said, "Couldn't we have another one?" And I said, "We'll talk about it later." So let me introduce the person most responsible for this, Governor Jindal.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. What David's not telling you is that Tom sold him at least 5 cars as a part of this transaction as well. I have no doubt who was the best businessman in that transaction. I want to first of all start off by saying today is certainly a great day for New Orleans. It's a great day for the state of Louisiana. There have been a lot of skeptics, a lot of folks who wondered whether the Hornets would come back here, would stay here after their exile post-Katrina. Today we send the message out to the entire world that the Hornets are here to stay, that New Orleans is not only an NFL city, New Orleans is an NBA city. New Orleans is a world-class city that can compete with any city, not only in America, but the entire world. And there's several people that I want to thank. I want to first of all start with Tom and Gail Benson. I consider Tom and Gail to be close personal friends for many, many years, long before I was even elected governor. I don't think I need to tell the folks here in New Orleans and Louisiana what great philanthropists, what great citizens, what great business leaders they are for our community. But I do want to tell our guests. We've got folks from all over the world watching today. Yes, Tom and Gail are known as brilliant business leaders in the banking industry, in the automobile industry, in the real estate industry, in a lot of different industries. Known as a great franchise owner thanks to their experience with the New Orleans Saints. Obviously, all of us grateful bringing us our first Super Bowl victory here to New Orleans, bringing us our next Super Bowl going to be hosted here in New Orleans. But what I want to share with you just a side that not everybody gets to see of Tom and Gail. They are truly so generous and so many times help behind the scenes so many great causes right here in New Orleans, all across the state and outside the state as well, without a lot of recognition. Whether it's the PACE program, whether it's through their church and their faith, time and time again, they have stepped up to the plate. And I think that's perfectly consistent with the ethic of the New Orleans Hornets, of the NBA, getting involved in the rebuilding of New Orleans and Louisiana after those storms. I can't think of a better owner for the New Orleans Hornets. I can't think of a better, a new member of this club of NBA owners. I just want to, personally, on behalf of the entire state of Louisiana, and also personally, I want to thank Tom and Gail Benson for once more stepping up to the plate, helping their city, helping their state at a time of need, helping to make sure this team stays here and becomes yet another championship team. Let's give them another great round of applause for what they're doing. There are several other folks that worked hard to make today's announcement possible. I want to start with our commissioner. You know, I know there was a lot of pressure to move this team to another state. I know there was a lot of skepticism from folks across the country about whether it was viable to keep the Hornets here. He stepped up to the plate, did something unprecedented when he had the NBA come in and actually buy the Hornets to keep them here and to give us time to get those tickets, to get those corporate sponsors. He took a lot of criticism from a variety of folks about whether this made sense. I think today validates his confidence in us, his investment in New Orleans, in Louisiana. Again, he could have made a much easier decision. Would have been a lot simpler for him to simply sell, allow the team to be sold, and moved elsewhere. He did not have to intervene. Unprecedented, not only in the NBA, but I think in professional sports leagues. I think our commissioner deserves another round of applause for what he has done for us and for the state. I know he's been mentioned. I do want to thank Jack as well. Jack has done a phenomenal. Now, I made the mistake on the phone Thursday with the commissioner. I went on and on praising Jack, Governor Sperling, and David said, well, wait a minute now. Maybe he didn't get such a good deal after all if you were being so nice to him. I think Jack did a great job balancing the interest of the NBA as well as of local fans. He was fair, he was a gentleman, he was transparent, he was honest throughout this process. He had multiple constituents he was answering to. It was a tough job. It took a lot longer than I'm sure he wanted. I know his wife was eager for him to get back home. He made the commitment. I saw him over the holidays. He said, Bobby, I'm not returning home until we get this done. I think he may have regretted making that commitment a couple of times during this process. But I want to say on behalf, again, of the people of Louisiana, we found him to be a true gentleman, a fair negotiator, and somebody who truly has ended up with a deal where everybody can walk away pleased. Let's give a great round of applause to Governor Jack Sperling. And Jack, just because it's done, this doesn't mean we don't want you to come back. We want you to see you often at the Hornets games, rooting for your team and back in New Orleans. There's several other folks, and I know I'm going to leave folks out, but I do, before I conclude, I do want to thank Doug Thornton from SMG and Ron Foreman, along with the other LSCD commissioners. Ron was the chairman, is the chairman of that group, and Hugh, and certainly, and Dennis, and many others. We've got our councilwoman, and I'm sure that the mayor will introduce them, but we've got a phenomenal team here, and I want to close with a couple of final observations. The reality is, a few years ago, when we started working with Tom on an agreement to keep the Saints here, to renovate the Superdome, we changed the way that the state thinks about sports. We looked at this and said, we as a state should be making capital investments in facilities like the Superdome and facilities like the New Orleans Arena so that we can have world-class facilities. And the reason Tom is such a such a great owner for the Hornets, just when you think about this, he's got experience bringing a world-class championship team to New Orleans. Secondly, he's committed to our city and our state. Third, though, and very importantly, he's got a vision for a year-round sports center right here in the heart of the city. When you think about Championship Square, you think about what this deal means in terms of events downtown. This is certainly about sports. It's also about revitalizing a very important part of downtown New Orleans. And when you think of all the investment and infrastructure that's going around here, and you top that off with the All-Star Game. We're going to have a Super Bowl. We're going to have the Final Four games here. We've had the Final Four, the men's Final Four. We're going to have the women's Final Four game here. We're going to have the All-Star game. Again, showing that these investments pay off, showing that New Orleans truly is a world-class city when it comes to hospitality and doing business. Truly today is a great day for the city and the state. I want to thank everybody that made it happen. Especially want to congratulate the Bensons. Now, this deal runs through 2024. I have no doubt that Tom and Gail will be at the table negotiating with the state then. There'll be a different governor.
Take that right now.
I have no doubt they'll be negotiating that extension back in 2024. Congratulations to everybody that made this happen today.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. Governor, thank you very much. And I'd like to also begin by thanking the Bensons. Tom and Gail have just been extraordinary, and I want to echo all of the comments that the governor has made. But both of these individuals, through very difficult times, have made a commitment to the people of the city and to the people of the state that I often describe in New Orleanians terms as unconditional love. Because that's what the people of America see about New Orleans and why they see so many special things happening here. So I thank you both for that. I also want to thank the commissioner in a very poignant way. You know, success has many fathers, and, you know, failure is an orphan. But as I sit back in this building and memories come flooding back, the state of Louisiana built this building with $114 million in cash, and we didn't have a team. A long time ago, when the people of New Orleans and the people of the state took a risk, and a lot of folks went to Madeline to get a new team here. And I can tell you, without fear of equivocation, this team would have never gotten here were it not for Commissioner Stern. I poignantly remember the meeting with all of the owners. We were in a conference room of a downtown New Orleans law firm. We had a chance to make the pitch, and the commissioner is the one that said, you know what, you can bet on the people of New Orleans. People thought we were too small. They didn't think we could make it happen, and sure enough, that's when it started. And so now through 3 owners, one of the challenges has always been, how do you make sure that you keep the Hornets here for the long term? Because this commissioner understands, and I think Gail and Mrs. Benson understand this. We're not just building a basketball franchise. We're rebuilding a great American city. And post-Katrina, I can tell you that the commissioner and Mr. Benson with the Saints and now with the Hornets understand the place that professional sports plays in the American landscape. And so, Commissioner, on behalf of the people of the city of New Orleans, I really thank you for understanding the big picture, bigger than basketball. It really is about building an American city, and thank you so much for that. The governor thanked a lot of people. Jack has been fantastic. Hugh, you know, early on, Governor, when we got together, we talked about trying to do a couple of things. One, we always told the people, if you wanted the team to stay here, you had to buy the tickets. And so we all collectively went out and helped make that happen. The sponsorships needed to be in place. The deal with the state needed to be in place. And then, of course, we had to find the owner. And as the commissioner said, we found the perfect owner. So I thank you for that. And I think we said at that time that if that happened, you will get an idea of how sports can add to the economic development of the city. And, of course, that began today with the commissioner honoring his commitment to bring us the All-Star game in 2014. And, Commissioner, that other thing was 2018, the 300th anniversary of the city. And so with that, I just want to put an exclamation point about where we physically are for the people who are watching. We're actually right across from the Superdome, where the worst images that the people of America saw short 6 years ago. And now what you're witnessing in the city of New Orleans is probably one of the greatest stories of resurrection and redemption that the people of America have seen, where the people of New Orleans have picked themselves back up. Unemployment rate, Governor, thank you, is low. Our property values are high. Last night, not 6 blocks from here, we had 450,000 people that were here for the French Quarter Festival. It is the 10th major event that we've hosted in the last 120 days. We have a full city between now and next year, which will culminate with the Super Bowl, Mr. Benson, and then shortly thereafter we're going to have the All-Star game. So you see a city that's back. And it's back in due in large part to the courage and the tenacity of the people in this room and to the folks that are sitting in this table. So on behalf of the people of the city of New Orleans, thank you very much. God bless you. We look forward to continue to do business with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just before the
And I
commission.
forgot to recognize Council President Jackie Clarkson
All
and
right,
Stacy
Jackie.
Head. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Before we
Mayor.
get this back to the commission, I would like to ask all of you to help me with this too. We want to change the name from Hornets to something that means New Orleans and Louisiana. You know, the Hornets don't mean anything.
He doesn't own the team yet.
He's got $25,000 on my
No, $25 million.
$25
$25 million. Don't you forget it. And if you want to get it credited to the purchase price, you better stop talking now.
I need your help though to get this done, okay, everybody? All right.
Fair enough. I got to add one more thing. When Mitch and the governor were speaking, I think that this story of rebuilding and rebirth, it will be told probably 90 times in an NBA season when the New Orleans Hornets are advertising to the world in the 217 countries and territories in 43 languages that the games will be broadcast to. So it really does have a certain symmetry to it. I don't want to pick on the NFL, but it only has 16 games, you know. So we're really we're going to be getting the story out.